Okay, so this is the Camara study method video. I've had a lot of people over the last year want to know how to do well in med school, and I tell them every time, and it takes me, 15 to 20 minutes every person that asks me, so I figured I would just make a YouTube video of it and let people watch it from there. The elegance of the Camara study method is that the things you know you will review 5 times before a test, and the things you don't know you will review more than 5 times before a test. Here's the game plan. There are 2 things you need to know about: spaced repetition and active recall. Actually make that active recall and spaced repetition. Active learning means bringing information in and then applying it. Passive learning involves bringing information in, but there is a lack of application. You don't apply the information. You just sit there and do nothing. The goal of your studies should be to avoid passive learning. Passive learning is bad.
You haven't defined passive learning yet.
Reading is an example of passive learning. Most people read, but what they don't realize is when they're reading, they're not memorizing. Watching a movie is passive. Listening to audio is passive. Asking a question is an example of active learning. Answering a question is another example of active learning. Flashcards are also an example of active learning. Teaching is an example of active learning. In certain situations, drawing is an example of active learning. Some people promote previewing, but if you're a fast reader and you can highlight and read and listen to the professor at the same time, don't preview. I don't recommend it. It's not good, efficient use of your time. You need to be learning and memorizing the lectures, not previewing. Previewing is not memorizing, it's passive learning. So like I was saying, when you're in class, you need to have a highlighter, and you need to have your notes, and you need to have them ready so you can stay ahead of the professor, reading and highlighting while the professor lectures. Highlight what you think is important as you read, highlight what the professor emphasizes. Be ready to write anything that the professor puts extra emphasis on or adds to the notes. You're going to go to class usually from 8 to 12. After your 11 o'clock class that gets out at 12, you need to think about which lecture was the hardest, the second hardest, the third hardest, and the fourth hardest, and rank them. Then, take the hardest lecture that you had from that day and begin memorizing it. You need to take nothing more than 2 hours to memorize that first lecture, and do the same thing for the second, the third, and the fourth. That's the first time you're going to review your lectures. Ideally, you should take 1.5 hours to finish your lectures because you'll have labs and other things in the afternoon. To memorize a lecture, you should use one of the active learning techniques that Richard and I mentioned earlier in the video. We prefer to use a question-answer format of active learning. That means that we will take a page of notes, and with the second color of highlighter, we will highlight anything we deem as important that we might have missed in the lecture with our original color of highlighter. Then, I will ask Richard questions based on that page of notes. Anything that he misses a question on, I will highlight with a third color of highlighter. He will do the same for me, highlighting anything that I miss with a third color of highlighter. If you don't like people, you can just make flashcards. Make sure to make your flashcards and immediately study them. Making flashcards is almost better if you just make 20 at a time, study those. Make 20 more, study those. That way it's more like you're questioning someone and then someone's questioning you, except you're doing all the questioning for yourself. If you're going to make flashcards in med school, you need to make them faster than you've ever made them. Writing is obsolete. Typing is obsolete in med school. You need to use auditory flashcard software. My brother and I recommend Mental Case or Anki. Mental Case is available on Mac OS, on the iPhone, the iPod Touch, and the iPad. Anki is available for Mac OS, iPhone, iPod, iPad, PC, Linux, and Game Boy DS. If you type fast, you can use eReviewBook that comes on the PC. Links to Mental Case, Anki, and eReviewBook websites have been posted below. Now back to my brother and I quizzing. When we finished the first page of notes, we would read the next page of notes, question in the same way that we did the first page. When we finished the second page, we would go back and question on just the things we missed on the first page. Then we would read the third page and question. Go back and question on the stuff we missed on the second page. So you see the pattern. Each time you read a new page and you finish it, you go back and question on the page that you had quizzed on previously, but only the things that you missed. If you're using any of the flashcard softwares that we recommend, they will re-ask you the questions that you miss at the end of the deck. Once you finish questioning on the lectures from that morning, let's say there's 4 of them, It should be no later than 8 hours later. Now is the time to take the lectures from the day before and go through them. Your time limit for reviewing lectures for a second or additional time is 30 minutes. When my brother and I review a lecture for a second or additional time, only one of us questions the other person, and we just go straight through the lecture. One person questioning, one person answering. We still highlight anything that is missed and re-question it. If you're using flashcards, you can simply use the flashcards you made on the lecture already.
There you go.
Before you go through your flashcards, we recommend that you skim your notes quickly to refresh your memory of what's in the notes. Next, go through the lectures from the morning, actively reviewing. One person questioning, one person answering. Mark anything that is missed and re-question it before you move on to the next lecture. Take no more than 30 minutes. This should be the second time that you have reviewed the lectures from the morning. After reviewing your lectures from the morning for a second time, go to sleep. Wake up in the morning, go to class from 8 to 12, review the lectures from that day, review the lectures from the day before, review the lectures from that day for a second time, go to sleep, continue this pattern for the rest of the week until Friday sundown. Take a day of rest on the weekend. My brother and I honor the Sabbath, so we take Friday sundown to Saturday sundown off and begin studying on Saturday night again. The first thing you will do Saturday night is review your lectures from Friday for a third time. On Saturday night, we begin what we call a week in review. What we do is we start on the first lecture from Monday and go through every lecture for the entire week straight through. What we do is take 30 minutes per lecture, one person questioning, one person answering, marking anything that is missed. Anything that is missed, we make a flashcard on. If you're studying with a partner, one partner will question through a lecture. Then the other partner will question through the next lecture. You will continue to alternate until all of the lectures have been completed. You probably won't finish Saturday night. My brother and I don't usually finish on Saturday night. So begin the next day after getting a good night's sleep and finish all the lectures from the week, taking no more than 30 minutes per lecture. If you're using flashcards to study, go through every lecture you have made flashcards on. Anything you miss, put it in a different flashcard deck so that you have one consolidated flashcard deck of everything you have missed from the entire week when you review it on the weekend. Once you have finished reviewing every lecture from the week, take your consolidated flashcard deck and thoroughly memorize it.
On Monday, start the cycle over. Do the cycle each week until the week before your exams. Now it's the week before your exams. Let's say you had lectures until 12 o'clock on Thursday and then you have all the rest of the time off until your exams the following week. Review the lectures from Thursday, then review the lectures from Wednesday, then review the lectures from Thursday again. Now you're ready to start what we call the super review.
The super review!
The super review is just like a massive weekend review. You start with lecture 1 and go all the way through the quarter. You should alternate quizzing if you're quizzing with a partner, or you can just go through your flashcards that you made throughout the quarter. Any question you miss, you should make into a super review pack of flashcards.
Now, memorize your super review flashcard deck. Use the rest of your free time before the exam to study lab and any handouts with questions, or strengthen any weaknesses that you think you might still have. So that's the Camara study method. If you already have a good study method, use the Camara study method to improve the study method you already have. Don't stop doing what has worked for you in the past. Just make what you have been doing better. If you don't have a good study method and you want to see better results on your next exam, begin using the Camara study method as soon as possible. Once again, don't forget to check out the links below for the e-review book, mental case, and Anki flashcard software. If you're interested in how to go paperless in medical school, check out my other video titled How to Save Trees in Medical School. The link to this video has been posted below.